Oh, Colts Nation, can you feel that feeling? Do you feel it in the air? I mean, there is nothing more exciting than the first round of the draft, other than the start of the season, of course. But when you're talking about offseason activity, this, by and large, is practically a national holiday for football fans across the country. I mean, day 2, day 3, all that stuff, that's where the real diehards come in. But every single team's fan base wants to see who their team is going to draft in the first round so they could rally around that guy and call him the second coming of the best player at his position. And I'm just going to let you in on a little secret. And I don't tell secrets all that often, but quick, come over here. Get your ear close to the speaker, okay? I have no clue what's going to happen. I have not a clue, okay? And that's just the absolute truth. And while every single Colts analyst is going to sit here and tell you that this team has to go with the tight end position at the number 14 overall pick, like it's so obvious, and the Colts have given us so many hints that they are going to be drafting a tight end in round 1, I'm here to tell you that it's not all that certain that that is what they do. Just like last year, where they had to draft a corner or they had to draft a receiver in round 1 and they walk away with Latu instead. I don't understand how we could forget that and then come into this season like we know everything about that first round pick. Now, of course, you look at last year and you could say, well, we didn't know that it was going to be all offensive players drafted before the Colts. If we had known that, we would have changed our projections. To that, I would say, that's exactly my point. Nobody knows. We have no clue what's going to happen at all. And anyone that tells you that they do may not be lying. I certainly wouldn't want to accuse anyone of that, but they're certainly doing something that flirts with lying, perhaps overestimating their own intelligence or projection skills. I mean, there is no way at all to know at the 14th overall pick. It's one thing like the top 3 picks, you could start to figure out what those are going to look like, but the 14th overall pick, you've got no clue what the Colts are going to be doing. And the more I think about it, the more I really feel like I won't be surprised with anything that they draft in the first round, barring like quarterback or running back. There aren't many things at this point with that first round pick that would stun me out of the Indianapolis Colts. Like, there's not exactly a shortage of things they can draft. I mean, sure, tight end is one of them, but linebacker, offensive line, edge rusher, defensive line, all on the table in round 1. If you ask me, either way, whatever it is that they're going to draft, it's not a final draft show without some predictions. So we're going to make some predictions. Not quite a mock draft because I think they're a complete and utter waste of time, but I will give you where I'm at and what I'm thinking going into tonight's draft. We'll see if Coltstradamus can strike once again. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. Some of you are going to be watching this exactly on time and on schedule, so you're going to know what I think beforehand, and then there's going to be a select few of you that watch this after the draft and can kind of see, well, just how right was this guy after all. Before we do all that, 2 things. 1, we're running a giveaway over here. First giveaway we're ever doing. We're giving away 2 paintings to 2 people. And what I mean by that is that there's going to be 2 people, each of which win 1 painting of 2 players. The first one, pulling up the camera. Sorry for the audio listeners. You're just going to have to trust that these things are gorgeous. This is the big one. Peyton Manning. We're going to be sending this to 1 person. And just by the way, to enter this giveaway, before I continue to give all the details, all you have to do is follow me on X. You'll never find a giveaway easier to enter in your entire life. At Justin RTB Colts. Just follow me. You don't have to like, you don't have to comment, you don't have to do anything. Just follow me there. One of you guys will win. April 28th, you can either win this painting of Painting Manning, and a handwritten note from me, of course, or the linebacker formerly known as Darius Shaquille Leonard. There will be 2 winners. One of each wins one of these paintings, if that makes sense. 1 painting to each person with a handwritten note. Follow me on X at Justin RTB Colts, or just go to the link in the description of this episode. And of course, the other thing we have to do is introduce the show. My name is Justin. This right here is the Ride the Bench Colts podcast. As always, ask anyone watching on YouTube and enjoying the show, go ahead, shoot a like. It's going to help me get out to as many Colts fans as humanly possible. Of course, subscribe if you want to be a part of the journey. We're on our way to 4,000 subscribers over here on the YouTube channel. We're not particularly close, but we want to get there by the start of next season. So if you keep coming back and join the show, or perhaps it's your first day here and you're enjoying what it is that you're hearing, hit that subscribe button. You never miss an episode again. And of course, you help the channel out just a little bit. Audio listeners, leave a 5-star review. Let the people know how much you're enjoying the show, but most importantly, be civil in the comments section. You don't know what the person on the other end of the keyboard is going through. So if someone comes in with an opinion you don't like, take it as an opportunity to educate them, lift them up, push the discussion further. That's the goal of what we do over here. We're not trying to degenerate it into insults and name calling and all that type of stuff. Just not the place to be doing that here. We don't like to do that. The goal here always is to push the discussion further about these Indianapolis Colts. But without further ado, let's get back into those predictions, back into the regularly scheduled programming. Prediction number 1. This is the one I'm most certain about. The Indianapolis Colts do not draft from the 45th overall pick, which is their current second round selection. Since the year 2020, 4 times, 80% of the time, have the Colts drafted from a different second round slot than the one that they came into the draft with. If you're to ask me to go even further on that prediction, I think they trade up into the second round to get one of the following 3 things. A player that they had a first round grade on that slipped out of the first round, or more specific players, Tyler Booker, bruising run blocking guard out of Alabama, or Carson Schlesinger, linebacker out of UCLA. The more I hear this team talk, the more I'm not entirely certain if they want to move Matt Gonsalves into that right guard slot. Because if you're the Indianapolis Colts and you're thinking about moving him in, you do have a few moving parts. Number 1, Braden Smith. Do you trust him to stay healthy at tackle? Like, do you think you have Braden Smith for 17 games at tackle? And then on top of that, do you think he's the future of that position? If the answer of either of those questions is no, then you do have to answer the next question, which is, do you trust Blake Freeland to then be his heir apparent or go-to replacement in those moments? If the answer to that is no, then you are left with Gonsalves. And if you move him to guard, you're not going to move him back to tackle. So I'm not entirely sure that the Colts, I think if they have to, they'll go Gonsalves into right guard, but I'm not really sure that's their number 1 option, which brings me to prediction number 2. 4 Colts draft picks will go to the offensive and defensive line. If they decide to make a trade that gives them more capital, perhaps it might be more than 4 picks. But right now, again, you look at that offensive line. You've lost Ryan Kelly, who's been a fixture, one of the great Colts of the past 15 years. You lost him. You lost Will Fries. We obviously all know how much Chris Ballard, rightfully so, by the way, prioritizes the trenches. Now, I think they have some guys that could contribute for sure. Again, Gonsalves and Freeland, as we spoke about, but Bortolini, Wesley French, Danny Pinter, Dalton Tucker. I think some of these guys can come in and give you some decent work, but at the same time, the pass protection last year, while by no means a complete disaster, like you were not the Houston Texans up front in terms of pass protection, you did definitely show some signs of deterioration here and there. Now, of course, the team had some injuries, and you're rolling into weeks with different combinations of guys, and we know on the offensive line, very, very tough to do that type of thing. That is one of the units, if not the unit, that relies the most on continuity and cohesion. There's a lot of passing off assignments, communication that goes into being successful up front. So if you add 2 more guys to that group on the interior, particularly, you're talking guards, right? Guys that are maybe guards first. Maybe you add a tackle if you view Gonsalves as a guard. You feel much better about where the Indianapolis Colts stand on the offensive line with 2 offensive linemen in this draft and their ability to adapt during the season if tough times come. And then on the defensive side of the ball, you have Grover Stewart, you have DeForest Buckner, sure, but they're both over 30 years old, 31 to be fair, so they still have some good football ahead of them, but that's old enough for you to have to think about life outside of those players. It would be a good idea to get in there, get a guy that goes in there, provide some depth, and can perhaps develop into your future at the defensive tackle spot. And then, of course, on the defensive ends, you have Samson Ebukam coming off the Achilles and Kwity Paye, both of which are on expiring contracts this season. We just saw the team lose Dio and Dangbo, We don't want this defensive line to end up being something like the corners last year, where you just go in and you're kind of thin and you're relying on a lot of guys that should you definitely be relying on them. That's where the Colts kind of stand right now on the defensive line if they don't make any draft picks there. Okay, prediction number 3. I said over half of the picks are going to go to offensive and defensive line. Well, if you're good at math, if you're one of those nerds, you're saying, well, Justin, hold on. That means we only have 3 picks to address everything else. And yes, you'd be correct because 7 minus 4 is 3. And that's why we all went to school. That is unless, of course, they start maneuvering what it is that they have. They start trading back, they start trading assets, and all of a sudden, what they have in terms of picks looks way different than what it looked like going in. So prediction number 3 for me is that the Colts make at least 2 trades during this draft, which will result in one of the following outcomes. Either they end up with 8 or 9 picks in this draft when all is said and done, or the more exciting option, they end up with either Dallas Goedert, tight end from Philly, or Mark Andrews, tight end from Baltimore. Prediction number 4. The Colts do draft a quarterback this year. In fact, they draft one of the following quarterbacks that I mentioned. Will Howard out of Ohio State, Quinn Ewers out of Texas, or Curtis Rourke out of Indiana. Your guess as good as mine. It essentially comes down to, do you want to spend the 4th rounder on the QB or do you want to wait until the 6th round? That's kind of the question when it comes to those 3 guys. Prediction number 5, the most aggravating for all of you, but the reason you come here and not somewhere else, the Colts' 1st round pick is somebody that we as a fan base are not talking about a lot right now. So not Tyler Warren, primarily because he won't make it to the pick. If he does make it to the pick, the Colts will absolutely take him. But if he does not make it to number 14, the Colts will not draft Colston Loveland. In fact, they may not even draft at pick 14. I think this draft is going to be a lot of action for Indy on the trade market, which in turn will give us a lot to talk about after the draft. But those right there are my predictions. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think I'm an idiot? Do you think I'm a genius? Which one is it? How are you feeling? Give me your final prediction for the number 14 overall pick in the comments section. And again, if you want to win free Colts memorabilia in the easiest entry to any giveaway you've ever entered in your entire life, follow me on Twitter. You can either win a painting of Peyton Manning or a painting of Darius Leonard, the linebacker formerly known as Shaquille. All you have to do is follow me on X. You're entered to win. Winner announced Monday, April 28th at Justin RTB Colts. But until next time, my name is Justin, of course. Why would that be my Twitter handle if not? This right here was the Ride the Bench Colts podcast. And as always, go Colts.